should have never doubted me. I'ma work to my last breath. I'ma hustle to my last breath.
All right. Let's get it going. Andrew Forte, you gotta 1 second. Okay, cool. We're good. Yeah, Andrew Forte, you gotta phase the music out slowly, not all at once. That's what I learned after my half dozen times of just spacing it out one at a time. Anyway, SafeMoon community, welcome. We're still waiting on some people to join, but I don't want to wait any longer. I think they'll roll in just like the Dogecoin community rolled in kind of late. This space was actually inspired by the Dogecoin community space that we hosted before Christmas. It's Andrew Forte's idea. We got a panel of guests together, and we had at the time, which is our longest space ever, it was 7.5 hours, and we almost broke 10,000 total viewership, 10,000 people coming in and out of the space through the duration of the broadcast. So we put up a poll on our Twitter account and asked which community space that people would like to see next. And SafeMoon won by a large margin. It was quite impressive. Actually, wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting a landslide, but here you guys are, and we have several spokespeople from the team, or rather from the community, that are on here. Before we get started, just kind of talking about SafeMoon, its utilities, its future. Actually, before we get started talking about SafeMoon's future, I don't know if anyone wants to step up really quick and give a high-level a high-level overview of kind of what SafeMoon is, how you guys came to be, the utilities that you guys offer with respect to the greater crypto ecosystem, and then we can kind of dive in and see, what utilities are actually legit, what people have questions about, and then where you guys see this ecosystem going in the years to come. And just the way that I typically, I got you, Revoltans, 1 second. The way that I typically host these things is like open panel. Anyone can speak. If someone has to respond to someone else, like wait for them to finish and just uncue your mic. And then if you want to raise your hand, sometimes when we have too many people that want to speak, it's helpful to have hands raised just because it gives me an order to call people on. But if you have something to say right away, just like uncue your mic. I host these things pretty relaxed. But yeah, if anyone wanted to step in and give us a high-level overview of SafeMoon, I can do it myself, but I would rather hear it from one of the community members.
I guess I'll start it off. I want to say thank you for hosting the space. This is going to be fantastic. I just, I never heard of you guys, and now I have, and I'm glad to maybe listen into maybe future Twitter spaces that you hold. So thank you very much for having us here. So just the key points on what SafeMoon is about is number one is the hyper deflationary token aspect. Is basically peer-to-peer interaction. When it's bought and sold and moved, is that every time there's a reward to burn aspect, on top of which they're trying to be more of a doxed community in the DeFi space, especially with the wallet and decentralized swap that they have on the wallet as well. So, but overall, it's just it's fairly new. It's only 2 years old, and it really blew up very fast. I think we had at 1.2 million holders on V1 contract, and then with the V2 contract, as we all know, we are on V2 currently. We have about over 700,000 holders currently on the V2 contract, with slight differences, but same with the whole deflationary aspect of the tokenomics.
Beautiful, man. Thank you for the breakdown. SafeMoon, Tony, go for it, man. Mike's yours.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on what Joseph was talking about. So again, thank you for having us as a community here and have the space. This is a great opportunity. I love that you guys are doing this. I will be listening to a lot more of your shows. I'm still would like to hear the Dogecoin community, but touching on SafeMoon. So what Joseph was saying, We launched in 2021 as a meme coin. Okay, that's how SafeMoon started off. In 2021 was the start of the tokenomics, the reflection tokens. And yeah, it took off. The community just grasped onto it and it became a very hot token in 2021. Since then, SafeMoon's turned now into a tech company. It's evolved. And you know, with every project that evolves, you know, there's hiccups and stuff. But the good thing is that our latest product that we launched was Orbital Shield. That's the new hottest thing. SafeMoon has launched the wallet. We've launched a swap. SafeMoon has actually grown into a beast in a sense where it's not just SafeMoon anymore. It's a whole ecosystem. There's partners. I forget. I could go through the list of partners. I will do that later, but it's grown into something more bigger than just a meme coin now. So just wanted to touch on that one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the first time I think I heard of the reflection model after it became the massive fad. I mean, pretty much every project on BSC at one point was doing some sort of reflection was SafeMoon. What is it about the guys? What is it about the reflection model that makes it so enticing or made it so enticing? I don't know if people. I mean, I'm sure there's reflections in some shape or form still integrated into tokenomics, but what made it so enticing at the time?
I'll jump in on that one. I think a lot of investors are not, paying attention every day, right? Like they're not day traders. They're interested in crypto. They want to invest, get involved, get in the game. But what's nice about the tokenomics aspect is that I can just simply have a buy and hold strategy and still feel like I'm getting rewarded even in a bear market. So I know that's appealing to longer term investors. And, like everyone said already, SafeMoon kind of brought that aspect to popularity, right? And so now they're looking to essentially create and expand the ecosystem. So, safety first, and that's why you see the heavy focus on Orbital Shield as far as timing goes. We're looking around the landscape. You see a lot of exchanges in trouble, and there's a lot of chaos, quite frankly. So, safety first, that's the main priority. And now that that's completed, they can move on to creating the exchange and then the blockchain. So they are trying to build out the entire ecosystem. But, the core to them and the core to their popularity was the tokenomics. And I think that's going to be the popularity or the separator as far as the exchange goes, kind of a hybrid model, but also incorporating cryptonomics, right? So if I want to hold my Bitcoin on the exchange, there'll be some type of reflectionary or tokenomic aspect to that hold. So, like I said, for some people, it's not about the day trading, timing. It's just simply a buy and hold, and I can feel good that I'm getting rewarded, on the daily.
Before I pass the mic, and by the way, Bryson, thank you for the breakdown. Before I pass the mic to Andrew Forte, I want to shout out SMF Tony really quick. He was incredibly helpful in reaching out to a lot of guests, and he gave us a lot of suggestions for people to come on. Tony, at some point, I'm going to co-host you to the space. Andrew Forte, if it wasn't for Andrew Forte, we wouldn't even be having this space right now. I mean, he came up with a Dogecoin idea. We spearheaded it together, and it kind of led to this. And we're going to be doing more and more of these as we go. But Andrew Forte, the mic's yours, man. Bryson, thank you again for the breakdown. I have some questions, but I want to let Andrew Forte get his first words in, and then we can go from there.
No, I appreciate you. I also appreciate the team, our entire team of WCT, as well as the entire SafeMoon team for being here today, community rather. This definitely a jointed, combined effort on both teams, both parties across all fronts. So congratulations to everyone to put this here today. I want to say though as well, this is kind of an open-ended question to everyone here listening. So obviously, the SafeMoon had an original surge, I believe it was in 2021, possibly. I think Tony said that earlier. I first found out about SafeMoon through TikTok, as I'm sure many of us others also did. What do you guys think from an investor standpoint, as well from a consumer mind, people kind of got attracted to SafeMoon? Why? What do you think that the initial kind of Like when people come across new things, new projects, new brands, new tokens, new NFT projects, whatever it may be, there's that point of interest everyone has within the set product. And why do you think SafeMoon at that point in time attracted so many people? It's kind of you guys open-ended question. Jeremiah, we'll go to you first.
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, thank you for allowing us to be here, inviting us. I think this is great. You guys were awesome today earlier on the water cooler. So we really really appreciate you guys for coming on and for us being here. One thing about Safe Moon is that yes, it was very popular. I remember hearing about Safe Moon in the metaverse. I just getting into like crypto, to the whole Doge phenomenon and the green candles and Elon Musk, and I was just educating people on crypto. I was in it actually probably a couple months beforehand, but just educating people about crypto. And I remember being in the metaverse, and someone coming up to me, "Have you ever heard of SafeMoon?" I'm all like, "What is this? I never heard of it, but thank you for telling me." And then the next day, and then basically at the end of the day, it was like four people told me in the span of like 3 days in different areas about SafeMoon. So I went, I knew it was very, very hard to get. And even it being hard to get, it was I don't think crypto ever seen these type of gains in the very beginning. This type of volume, this type of hype, and people being so excited about SafeMoon, this mysterious thing. It had that mysterious aspect about it too as well. But most of all, I think it was the tokenomics, right? Tokenomics of it. Even though SafeMoon wasn't the creator of tokenomics, it made tokenomics popular and DeFi, and people seeing they're putting in say $1,000 and the value of it's going up, and at the same time they get a certain amount of tokens for that thousand. Let's just say $100, and now they're seeing the amount of tokens they bought for $100 increase, and the value in those tokens are carrying value, right? And so it's making their bag even bigger. So I think that that was one of the elements that really got this thing going to a different level that no one have ever expected or seen before. And I think and within 6 months, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I believe SafeMoon actually gained like 3 million holders overall, if I'm not mistaken. But someone can feel free to correct me. Um, um, and we obviously with every token, you see the volume, people take profits and they leave, they go on to the next thing. And now I think we're like around 700,000, maybe 800,000, somewhere in between there, under the new V2 contract. But that's my opinion. If anyone else want to kind of you know answer that,
Jeremiah,
question too?
could you correct me if I'm wrong? SafeMoon was the first contract that did implement the reflection aspect, correct? Or am I wrong in saying that?
You're wrong. It's not they didn't correct. They didn't and come up with tokenomics. They pretty much made it popular. So they weren't the first.
Yeah, and I just wanted to kind of jump in before Big Brain Don Bailey over here starts spreading some knowledge on us. Overall, especially in that V1 hype train that we had, where it was just everywhere, SafeMoon V1 ended up going up 3.5 million% in pretty much a month and a half. And I think a lot of people forget how fast of a rise SafeMoon had with the supply that it had on hand, which was trillions at that on the V1 contract. So when you look at that type of success, and I think it was more of just, like I said, just more peer-to-peer marketing. It was literally everywhere. It was at clubs. It was just it was astronomical. I think even the SafeMoon team was not ready for that. The current team that was there, but and this is why I really spread the importance of knowing supply and demand, and overall with that type of rise, with that type of supply, you're going to have a big retracement. So, and that's basically what we've been in is in a retracement process, and slowly going down to a consolidation phase.
sorry to jump in here, no, just for a second, since everybody is sharing their first experiences with SafeMoon. I got to say, this was the first time when I had friends from real life. You know, I had no idea about crypto, no idea about IT altogether. You know, telling me about SafeMoon, asking me, it's like, hey man, have you heard about this? Have you? And it was indeed a crazy time. And I know you mentioned the reflection aspect too. They weren't the first to do the reflection ones, but they were among the first that were doing the liquidity providing aspect, right? On the liquidity tax, right? So everybody was super excited that we're getting reflections. The ground floor sort of was rising with all this liquidity, you know, being traded. So it got a lot of traction everywhere. So yeah, it was an interesting time to see. I think I saw the first or the second broadcast that they did on Twitch, and this was like really early days. It was crazy. It was like all sorts of people. The community was what basically was drawing everybody in. You know, it was clear from day one.
Yeah, I'd
100%.
say, and by the way, Jeremiah, I don't know if I'm the issues on my end, but I'm not able to hear you. Maybe if you can rejoin, because I probably dropped a lot of knowledge and I wasn't able to digest any of it. I think
Yeah,
that
sure, no problem.
whether you like SafeMoon or not, it's an unrefutable fact, Acti, as you just mentioned, that so many people got into the space and it lowered the barrier to entry for folks that otherwise might have not given crypto the time of day. And so whether or not people that got into crypto because of SafeMoon are so passionate about crypto, a lot of those folks ended up staying and working on other projects, getting involved with different ecosystems. And I think it's something to be said about the community. It's undoubtedly one of the biggest and most tight knit communities out there. And I don't know if this has been touched upon. And Don, I saw your hand up. I'm going to pass the mic to you, but I'd be curious to know what it is exactly about the SafeMoon community that makes it so massive. Don, go for it, sir.
Hey, how's it going? So I kind of caught the tail end of your last question, but I think I got the gist of it. I kind of wanted to essentially go through like some points of its like inception or genealogy that I think we missed. So when SafeMoon was coming out, I think we were at the tail end of the whole Dogecoin rally, where you know a lot of people were actually extracting value out of cryptocurrency, and I think the safe, like just the SafeMoon name in and of itself is like really catchy, and it attracted a lot of people, like safely to the moon, right? We saw, you know, all over Reddit, um, you know, all over TikTok, people using the term "to the moon," right? But the term "safely to the moon" kind of played into the tokenomics of the token. So the liquidity provision, the reflections, and the burn. So if you just looked at it theoretically, like as a constructed project, it made sense for a lot of people and it was really digestible, right? Oh, they're adding liquidity with every single transaction. Oh, you're getting reflections with every single transaction. Oh, they're burning a supply. So a lower supply means that, you know, theoretically the value of each token should increase. And I think all of that created like the perfect storm for the rise of SafeMoon. But even more importantly, I also think that what was important at the time that people were getting into SafeMoon is that it had such a massive volume. And I remember like days where I would just refresh my wallet and my balance would just keep going up. And I kind of got attracted to watching my balance increase in real time. And that was also pretty attractive. So, you know, aside from you know, SafeMoon in and of itself, I think the environment in which SafeMoon was released was also pretty beneficial to like its success as a token.
And so, guys, what now? I mean, someone mentioned earlier, I forget who it was, that SafeMoon now is more of a company. What are some things that the company is working on? What are some innovations that we can see in the next year or two? Because it sounds like you have the community and you guys seem to have a direction, but I would love to know more from a nuts and bolts perspective. What's in store for SafeMoon?
Could I jump in here first?
I'll
Guys,
go
go
ahead,
for it,
Don.
whatever you want. Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, sure. So, a couple things with like SafeMoon as a company. Well, the first thing that we all know about and we experience is like the release of Orbital Shield, and pretty cool encryption technology. They're encrypting, I guess, access to programs, so username, password level. The reason why that's important in cybersecurity is like you have access to logging in with your banks, you have access to logging in with to access HIPAA records from an employee standpoint. There's a lot of vulnerabilities just in like data access, so username, password, taking encryption beyond like MD5 encryption or whatever other like password encryption techniques is still limited because like data is encrypted at the database level, so and it's still stored somewhere. So they kind of like innovated that um, type of encryption, and it's pretty cool because we're utilizing the technology in cryptocurrency. It's also going to be baked into the blockchain that SafeMoon releases, but that technology also has utility outside of the Web3 space and in the Web2 space. So predictably speaking, there that's a good model generating revenue for that company or for SafeMoon. Beyond that, I personally believe that their DEX innovations are kind of unique in terms of its ability to have the tokenomic supervisor, the token monetization innovation, which essentially allows, like, since most of the pairings on there are paired with BNB, for the tokenomics or the fees with the token to be collected in BNB as opposed to like a sell down future where the token has to sell down their native asset. That's a pretty cool, like, unique selling position that allows it to at least have a reason to prefer the platform over something like Pancake Swap. Essentially, if they like implement the same technology with Ethereum, like they could compete with Uniswap with that USP. So there are a lot of reasons to like kind of prefer that technology, and it's a pretty cool innovation that's consistently being updated. Um, for me personally, I kind of started off my SafeMoon journey as like any other like retail common like non-accredited investing type individual. So like just as a community and like the way in which they've been releasing information has also encouraged me to learn more about cryptocurrency. So as an innovation beyond the things that are expected to be like in the exchange, I think the biggest thing is that like on my journey of being a member of the Safe Moon Army, I've learned so much more about cryptocurrency, and it's like from spaces like this of people just talking about the tech and stuff.
Don, would you agree? That was great, by the way. Would you agree that obviously the tech is one thing? There's definitely different verticals when making a brand very successful. In my opinion, everything starts and ends with the community. Because I've seen tech that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. I think it's some of the best out there, but nobody gives a crap about it. No one gives a crap about it. Everything
One
starts and
hundred percent.
ends with the community. That's my personal opinion because I've seen people create some of the things that I used today in my life and no one cares about it because
Right.
there's nobody around it, so therefore no one really cares about it. That's kind of what I'm getting at. It starts and ends with a community. You got to get people to care about the product, otherwise it's never ever going to work,
Correct.
regardless of what it does and how it operates.
Yeah, in the book, The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, the first law is first to market, first to mind. And so, if you're not first in people's mind when they think about an innovation or a type of product, then you're going to struggle to like generate, awareness of your product. Community is immediate awareness. So, you're 100% right.
What's the angle behind launching their own blockchain? Don't we have enough layer ones and even layer twos getting spun up?
I could answer this as well if anybody else. So,
Yeah, go for it.
in my opinion, one, I agree with you. There's a ton of layer ones and a ton of layer twos. But two, I would say that like from the public knowledge that I've heard or public information that's been given, there is a need to have blockchains that are capable at handling, much higher TPS loads, right? Transactions per second. But also not only being able to scale like your TPS load, but additionally like being able to what's the word that I'm looking for? Be agile, as future technology comes in. So what I personally believe is that some of the innovations that they're developing, they don't want to have any type of third party reliance. So that would be my opinion as to why they want to build one.
Makes sense when you put it like that. And again, can you name? You said the security protocol. Can you name that security protocol again? It's Orchid.
Orbital shield, like orbit.
Orbital. Cool. I just wanted to look that up. And is that proprietary?
I believe it's both patent and trademark pending.
And you guys, someone had mentioned a SafeMoon wallet earlier. What are some distinguishing features of that? Again, so many wallets in the industry right now. What's going to set that apart?
Yeah, so with the SafeMoon wallet, like basically, number one, it's they're not going after blue chips. They're trying to build an ecosystem right away. So they're bringing in new partners. They're bringing in new tokens that basically dox themselves to SafeMoon. Is that basically you have to come out and say, "Hey, this is who I am. You have to sign a contract with us and be a part of us," right? So number one, they're changing the way DeFi looks by bringing new people in and actually sitting down, meeting with their teams. What's the benefit for them to integrate with that partner, right? On top of which, it's just like overall, when we look at like say like a pancake swap to where it's like you can pretty much just list anything, is they're trying to bring more what's the word I'm looking for, reliability to the space. And overall, it's like instead of just having a regular swap, right? And it's anytime that um, if you trade between different tokens, you don't have to trade just for SafeMoon in general. You can just be trading for, say, any one of the partners there. Is that it's a liquidity add towards SafeMoon and building the brand. So basically there's a very small tax, like I think it's 0.25% to where each trade that's done on the SafeMoon platform benefits the ecosystem on top of the overall buyback and burn of SafeMoon, and just integrates to the utility behind it. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, especially with like if you look at with Orbital Shield, what they just launched is having the user the user and password security protocol. Is a lot of people that get into crypto is you have to write down your seed phrase, and you have to really keep track of it. And if you get a new phone and you didn't keep track of it, you lose that crypto that's there. You lose that wallet. To where now it's more of an integrated encrypted system, to where now it's just you just have to remember your username and password, and then your security questions as well to access your wallet.
So also having people gain access to old wallets that they lost dealing with SOS.
Say that again, Jeremiah. I didn't hear you.
Having people been able to recover some of those old wallets that they lost a seed phrase to.
Yeah, so you can migrate you can migrate different wallets into the SafeMoon wallet. Basically, kind of like a mirror. And what it does is it recovers that as well, because it has like a master wallet that connects all the wallets together.
Does that not put all the seed phrases at risk if someone compromises your username and password?
So with Orbital Shield, especially, this is like SafeMoon is so huge on security. That's like their number one thing is always security. So with Orbital Shield, it is a 256 bit encryption to where it's not stored centrally. So basically, if there was a data breach, is that overall they couldn't really encrypt the information that's there. So pretty much it's like you would just see that you're safe, like your crypto is going to still be safe. There might be like say like your username might get compromised, but overall, pretty much the wallet in itself is encrypted, and and I think it's like a huge bunch of random numbers and letters that when you log in, it decrypts it in real time to basically um, kind of opens it up to you and only you in a way.
Got it. That makes sense. I didn't know if anyone wanted to add anything else to that.
Well, if I may, really quickly,
Yeah.
do you guys have the analytics in terms of how many users? This might have been covered already. If I do, I apologize. Do you guys have the analytics in terms of how many users actively use the SafeMoon wallet?
From what I've researched into it, there's probably close to around a million to a million, in between 1 million to 1.5 million people that are active users on the wallet.
Yeah, 100%. You can get it on the Android in the Android store or the Apple store. You'll be able to download it. So, and they also, this is the thing about the wallet too. I believe and Don, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony. But it also has, deals with NFTs, but it also deals with 4 different blockchains, if I'm not mistaken, right? BSC, Solana, what was the other? Ethereum, and I think it was Polygon. Am I right?
AVAX. So I don't think Solana was in. So BSC, Matic, AVAX, and ETH.
Thank you.
Guys, I'm not so familiar with the history of SafeMoon. What was the reason for moving from V1 to V2?
So, from information that I believe is public, the one of the primary reasons is that in order to essentially bolt on, ABIs into these services that they're building, they needed a proxy and upgradable contract, as well as the consolidation was allowed them to be more agile because it's really hard to print that many zeros to apps.
Got it. And so there's a wallet, there's a blockchain, there's a security protocol, and someone else mentioned an exchange. Is this meant to be decentralized exchange? My assumption is yes. And if so, it brings me back to a similar question that I asked with the wallet and the blockchain. So many DEXs are on the market right now. What makes this one so special?
That's a great question. So we kind of already have a decentralized exchange right now, right? But this is the point: safety. One thing, and Don could contest to this. Don, like you mentioned, he's a very humble guy. Started in the community. He started also grabbing his team together and actually created a coin, and went to SafeMoon and got listed on SafeMoon. Now, the great thing about that is not an easy task to do. You just can't send liquidity or whatever to the swap and just assume you're going to be on there. SafeMoon is so strict on making DeFi safer, right? So they do some heavy vetting. Don can probably tell you more about that. I don't know a whole lot about the ins and outs, and I'm sure he probably can't reveal everything what they do. But heavy vetting projects. I've seen them turn away projects that the dev team didn't check out, the contract probably didn't check out, things weren't right, and was rejected. You know what I mean? But this is going to make us different. People that are in the SafeMoon swap, tokens that are in the SafeMoon swap are legitimate. They're not going to rug pull you. They're not going to just take off with your money or whatever. These people are doxxed, and you know who you're dealing with, and that's what makes it, in my opinion, very valuable. Because some people just put the money anywhere, don't know anything about the team. It's just some avatar, as a profile pic, and that's it. That's not safe, and I want my money to be safe. And I find that in the SafeMoon ecosystem.
RJ, go for it.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to talk. I wanted to just point out that one of the things that the wallet is known for is that it does have required two-factor authentication. So I wanted to go back to that point you were bringing up about what happens in the event that just a user gives up their username and password. Well, let's say that happens. The two-factor authentication would prevent anyone from being able to make a transaction on it. They may be able to look at it and see the wallet, but they couldn't actually make a transaction. So it not only allows you to so I want to go back to the things the other guys were talking about. We know that the stored information on SafeMoon's site is not an actual username and password. It's a string of characters that is just a meaningless string of characters. So it wouldn't be hackable from the server side, and that kind of gives the ability to know that your information is secure. So the only way someone will be able to get into the wallet, this is the SafeMoon wallet itself, is if they had your username, your password, your biometrics to be able to get into it. And then even on top of that is two-factor authentication, either through Google Authenticate or whatever other two-factor authentication you have. So that being the interface, which again, this is the SafeMoon community, right? We're not really people who are involved with SafeMoon. We're not like on the back end. Don may know a little bit more because he's been through the process and that vetting process and being able to be listed, which we agree that it kind of gives us the ability to say, hey, look, we know that these particular tokens that are being listed on the SafeMoon wallet through the DEX right now are vetted. We know that they're CertiK authorized or have done their CertiK audit or whatever audit is required. They've done their vetting. So we believe that they're safe and safe contracts. But even more so on top of that, we believe the wallet is going to be, again, I say we believe because we're not part of the SafeMoon team, we're just the community here. We believe that the wallet itself is going to be the interface into the exchange. So it's going to be a DEX-SEX hybrid where, remember, I mean, one of the things that we all talk about, we've seen FTX fail, we've seen other exchanges fail. It's because people lose their money because it's not your not your crypto, not my seed phrase, not my wallet, not my tokens, unless I actually have it in my wallet. Well, with this process of having the actual wallet be your interface, they are your tokens, they are your coins. So when you interface and you control them, you're not giving the ability for the exchange itself to host and keep your tokens. You're actually owning them yourself. So that's the kind of what we expect out of the exchange. It's going to be this hybrid whereby we control our own tokens, we control our own coins, we have our own seed phrases, and we're able to keep it secure because of the security of the wallet itself.
And just to
Hey, RJ, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say, RJ, beautifully put, man. I really appreciate the thorough breakdown.
RJ is great, and he's been in the community for a while, like literally dropping bombs like that.
Thank you. It's good talking to you all. It's been a while.
But to kind of piggyback on that too, so just like SafeMoon, there's a lot of concepts that they've been developing, and like inside of their exchange, there's these two terms that we hear a lot, which is cryptonomics and global tokenomics. So essentially, what cryptonomics is on the exchange, you ask the question, why would SafeMoon's exchange have a unique selling position versus the other exchanges in the market? Well, one unique concept there is cryptonomics, meaning that how SafeMoon does the reflections based off of the fees, taken on every single transaction. Transactions inside of the exchange would also, create fees for people holding that same token. So that would be the cryptonomics. But also the duality of DeFi and CeFi, so centralized versus decentralized. What we see is that when you are experiencing volume on a token that has either a reflective burn or liquidity provision component to it, that only or those functions are only triggered when it occurs on the decentralized side of trading. On centralized platforms, those aren't necessarily triggered because, again, they're closed networks. So the introduction of global tokenomics to make a token's native contract features exist both on a centralized exchange and a decentralized exchange is another reason why the SafeMoon exchange is pretty exciting, but also the tech that could potentially be exported to other exchanges is also kind of attractive to members of the community.
SafeMoon, Tony, go for it, man.
All right, so thank you. So what I want to go over was a lot of the products that SafeMoon's coming out with. We touched on the exchange, we've touched on the proxy contract, the wallet, and the swap. We also have Swap and Evolve that's implemented into the contract, and we're waiting on blockchain and the exchange, what we were just talking about. Just let it be known, we're not part of the SafeMoon team, we're community. So what I do know is exchange probably should have came out, but because of FTX, the team pivoted, they're making adjustments, and they're rolling with it. The SafeMoon card has not been talked about. That's coming out. Not sure when, but they're working on it. That will be pretty awesome when it's with our exchange, because now we're going to have, as a community, we're going to have a way to on-ramp, off-ramp, instead of using different avenues, such as, different other exchanges. So that will also bring volume to SafeMoon. Glow Talks was touched on. Global tokenomics. That's going to be a huge thing. That's being worked on. We don't know specifics on it, just with every other product that's being worked on. But SafeMoon has talked about global tokenomics. And then cryptonomics, what Don was just talking about. That's going to be another game changer on our exchange. I'm going to touch also on the swap. So for me, when I came to SafeMoon, it was first off, the first new hot token. And then when I got into the token, then I realized the community, that was pretty awesome on Twitter. And that's what kept me with SafeMoon, is the community. On top of, the innovations that SafeMoon's coming with and where it's going. But the community to me is huge. And SafeMoon was already big. But when we got the swap, when SafeMoon team brought the swap, they started bringing on other projects. And this is where Joseph was talking about the vetting process. To me, as an investor, what's very big for me is these projects don't just jump on the SafeMoon swap like they do Pancake Swap. They have to go through a vetting process. It's called the SafeMoon standard. And they actually have to meet the team. They go through a rigorous process. So what I found out is many tokens have been denied because of certain reasons, something with the contract, something with the team. It doesn't jive well with the team. But the ones that do get on the swap, there's 13 partners right now, and they become partners with SafeMoon. There's a tier system. We're not sure exactly what the tier system, that's not public information, that's within the team. But we know there's Moon Partner, which is, I think that's the biggest one, the top tier. Then there's Comment and Meteor. I'm not very sure because that information is not really public. But I'm gonna go through some projects that are on the SafeMoon swap. First off, BBTF, and that is Don Bailey's token, because Don Bailey was part of our community, and then he launched his token. Then we also have Glow token, which is an awesome community also. And the CEO is actually up here talking. He's up here as a speaker. So Glow token, that's another community. We have the MP protocols, the Mirror protocols. That's like a subsidiary of BBTF. And what they do is reflect in blue chips. And I'm sure Don could talk about that one in a bit. We also have Piga Inu. That's one of our latest meme tokens that came onto the swap. So I'm gonna give them a shout out. We have Rhythm, Immortal, Live Crypto Party, Metaverse token, Ethereum, Crypt, which is, I think I saw Crypt down in the audience right now. Croge Coin, Vanity, and then we have Grove Coin. Actually, I messed that up. It was Grove Token. They're launching their blockchain soon. They're turning it into a coin. So one of our partners, that's like our star partner right now. They're actually turning into a coin right now. They're bringing in their blockchain. They're actually working on that right now. They just migrated over to a different contract. So what I'm getting at here is SafeMoon is not just SafeMoon anymore. That's what I was talking about, is SafeMoon is now grown. And what SafeMoon has done for us is vetted these projects so we have safer investing for our investors, for us. And this community is just growing massively now. I think Grove has like 40, oh no, I'm sorry, on BSC they have 40,000 holders. all the exchanges put together, they're around 200,000. And then not including all the other tokens that are on the swap. So this whole ecosystem is like a galaxy. It's pretty awesome. So SafeMoon just doesn't come alone anymore. There's more to it. There's more communities, and it just keeps growing.
So I have a question for you really quick because you mentioned this, right? So obviously you mentioned the FTX and the contagion there. Does SafeMoon have any collateral with the contagion that happened through FTX a couple months back? To extent of your knowledge?
To the extent of my knowledge, there was no exposure to the FTX collapse.
That's correct, and I would agree with that. There was no exposure to it. What I think that is happening with across the board exchanges is that they're all learning in the learning process. As Don mentioned earlier, it's a pivot process. It's a learning process. It's an understanding of what failed, what didn't fail. And I wanted to bring this up too, right? Because if you aren't putting your tokens or your coins technically on the exchange and you're holding them within your wallet, your tokens, your control, your wallet, it requires there to be a liquidity process to make sure that the exchange doesn't fail, right? So that's where we're learning. And early on in the process and discussion of with the actual team, they indicated there was going to be a 1.1 to 1 exchange ratio for what they held in liquidity for what their technical trading information was. That's a huge critical component that I want to point out to everybody to make sure they understand that the SafeMoon exchange and the wallets are all going to have a 1.1 liquidity so that there is no possibility potential for failure. There's not going to be no naked shorting. There's not going to be any naked selling. There's not going to be any process by which the exchange says they've got tokens or coins in your wallet that you don't really own, that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to bring that up too.
I've heard the word community echoed multiple times, and even before the space, people always harped on how important and critical SafeMoon's community was to this current success and the future success of the ecosystem. In any order, you guys can raise your hands or you guys can speak out. Can you? Whenever I hear community, people are always like, "Well, we have community. Well, we have community. We have community." What is it about the community that you guys love so much? I can tell you what I like about your community so much, just based on my short time interacting with you. Is I messaged Tony, SafeMoon Tony, on Twitter, and within 1 hour, he had sent me like 10 different people that were potential panelists to come on. So he was super responsive. He was very eager to share usernames of folks that I could DM, and he seemed like he had a vested interest in making this space happen. And just being in hosting this with you guys, again, I don't know that much about SafeMoon apart from what you've told me about and apart from like the little research that I've done. But I feel like I'm talking to the team. I mean, you guys seem like you know so much about the ecosystem and so much about what's coming up. So those are some things that I like about your community so far. But what do you guys love about the community? Why do you guys think it's so important, apart from how tight knit you guys, how massive you guys are?
Go ahead, Tony.
I'll just touch a little bit on that. What I like about our community is it's more of like a family. You know, we've gone through hard times like every other community. Other communities have hard times and they have good times. This community I've seen stay together and help each other. Like say migration, we all have issues with migrating with Grove and with SafeMoon. We help each other, and that's needed in this space because there's a lot of people that come from the exchanges into DeFi and they don't know what they're doing. And then as well as I do, there's a lot of scams out there trying to target them. And our community stays together and it's so tight knit. And that's what keeps me here is the community and everyone's so helpful.
If you don't mind me, go ahead. Go ahead, man. You got it.
Yeah, I was actually going to show you real quick. Having Jeremiah in the space, Jeremiah, started the SafeMoon water cooler, and it was kind of like our morning wake up, to like kind of meet up and talk to one another. And he hosted a really good space for a very long time. And I just wanted to give you a shout out for doing that as well. But overall, it's just like Tony was saying, is you have a very big group of people that really try to stay in the know and try to pay attention to everything that SafeMoon's doing, not just the SafeMoon though, but with partners as well, to where we can try to help benefit the partners within the ecosystem that are a part of SafeMoon. So, and then you've had a lot of YouTubers, that have come and gone into the space that had that used that backing and then kind of like went to the south side of the dark side, I would say. But the people within the community still stayed strong and still made sure that we pumped out the correct information to the community. Sometimes we have some pushback, sometimes we don't, but it's like we always try to get new people to come up and talk all the time. We want to hear from everyone. We want to get to know everyone because like when we all have that um, hope for a moonshot to where we can all meet up one day and like kind of just reminisce the things that we've gone through together as a community. But overall, it's just basically, um, you know, I would say for myself personally, I try to pay attention to everything that SafeMoon does. And even when they do movements on certain levels, I try to kind of understand the business aspect of it instead of just of uh, that the harm that could possibly be from it. But overall, it's like knowing the business side and how business works and how money moves is really crucial because a lot of people don't understand that aspect. But we've stayed in it and we've basically made sure that the correct information is put out to the community as best as possible.
Joseph, I have to ask this question, and if there's an echo, I'm outside, so I apologize in advance. So obviously we know the market hasn't done very well in the past, 13, 14, whatever, 12, 9, 10 months, and so on and so forth. A lot of people have left from crypto, from NFTs, from the metaverse side of things, from Web3, period. How much of your community at scale has really stayed during this time? Because I now dabble with NFTs as well. I started through crypto, came in through Dogecoin. I now dabble in NFTs as well. I would say most of my crypto spaces, Twitter spaces, not that this is an accurate kind of analytic here, but most of them from a consumer level, from retail investors, have kind of died off. I mean, you mentioned Jeremiah's space, which he does every morning that I've seen. He was very kind to have us up there as well this morning. So Jeremiah, my team and I appreciate you for that one as well. But Joseph, back to my question though, how many safe mooners do you think kind of left were seasonal investors? How much do you think were still here? Obviously, the number doesn't have to be spot on, but what percentage would you say is still here from the prior 12, 13, 10, 9 months ago?
In my opinion, I would probably say um, we've probably like as a following, I would say probably like we've definitely lost around like 50%. But it's like overall, it comes down with the confidence in the market. Usually, people like I from what I've heard is SafeMoon was their first crypto, and basically when the lack of confidence came into the market and we went into that bear market, so we went from V1 to V2 pretty much in the very beginning of what we are in today, which is the bear market. And overall, that with that loss of confidence just in the overall market in general, not understanding how crypto cycles work, those investors probably got scared off, which is okay. It's those cycles that we go through, right? As just avid crypto investors in general. But overall, it's hopefully with just the market coming back, is SafeMoon can and the partners can put their head down and work and build just like everybody else says that are industry leaders is this is the time frame where you build and you put the head down and you really go to town and trying to build that technology or build that innovation to the space to where it does bring those investors back. And hopefully, SafeMoon does have that up their sleeve.
Joe, that was a great answer. I would say as well, don't pass the mic to whoever other hand up next. No one can make that call. Leadership, whether it be within business, the CEO, CMO, CTO, or within the community, leadership starts at the top and trickles down.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Bryson was next, and then RJ, and then Jeremiah. Oh, sorry, Brian. It said Bride ... and there was a Bryson on here earlier, so I got you mixed up. Brian, you're next, sir. Excuse me.
How you doing, guys? Yeah, I just wanted to come on and talk about the SafeMoon community. I know that question got brought up earlier, and what I have to say about the SafeMoon community is they are 100% like family. They love each other. They fight with each other. They truly get emotional, and just the passion behind every one of the community members is something that I've never witnessed before until I seen SafeMoon. So I did just want to put that out there. That was my comment.
Oh, and just to let you know, Brian is the CEO of Glow. So thank you for coming up and talking on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it.
Andrew, I wanted to address your concern on your question regarding the size of the community and what's happened over the 12, 15 months and the kind of the down market. I would say that we know that there are 703,125 holders of SafeMoon right now. Now, the majority of those are what we would consider to be probably dust holders or relatively small amounts. It doesn't mean that they're insignificant, but small. But we know how many there are, and we also track how many are added to wallet holders every day. It's done through the Gluebiz website, which is a great tracker that someone Gluebiz set up for SafeMoon fanatics, I guess, to take a look at it. But 703,125 holders of SafeMoon isn't insignificant, and every day there are adding. So even though the market is dropping or going down over the last year or more, I would say that in general, it's still been in an uptrend as far as the number of holders. Now, I would also say this. I think we all acknowledge that, when we look at coins and we look at the market in general, most average retail investors, who are primarily the people who are involved in tokens at this point, or at least SafeMoon token, are not capable of really moving the price as much. It takes big investors with large amounts of money. So I think that as we look at the trend of the market in 2022, it tracks, and I'm come more from the trade side and financial markets, where we have seen obviously the SPY and seen indexes drop so significantly that we know that large markets, large banks, large funds are removing their presence from the crypto market so that they can take their liquidity and move it into places where they need it. So it was primarily a store of value with BTC, but where we do have these tokens as potential investments as opposed to just stores of value, what we are seeing is that people still have faith in SafeMoon. People still know that it has value. Cryptonomics is value. The projected releases have value, and we've talked about all of those. So I would say that even though the market in general is on a downtrend, we still see increased holders in SafeMoon because they know what it is. They know what it's about. And people still have that faith in Bitcoin. They still have that faith in Ethereum, but they're taking their liquidity and moving the market. So it looks like it's on a downtrend, whereas reality, they're just moving liquidity. There will come a day when we see the index funds recover, and we're going to come a day when we see BTC, ETH, and all the other coins and tokens increase in value, and people are going to come back into the market in a way that we've probably never seen before.
RJ, I appreciate that response. I'll say this at first. This is my personal belief. Everyone may differ, and that's totally fine. I don't think Bitcoin or any crypto is a store of value for the fact that we put our value in 6-7 months ago, and now we're all down tremendously. A store of value, in my opinion, doesn't operate that way, but that's different. That's nor here nor there. In terms of what you said, I obviously agree with you. There's been negative sentiment here and there that's been going on for the past months. My concern is kind of with the entire crypto market, not just in a sense SafeMoon from a community standpoint, from a Twitter metric standpoint, in the sense that all of my Twitter people that I follow, aside from the NFT side of things, have completely left. The hexagons, this, that, the spaces have left. To me, that's very, very negative. Onto where the NFT side of things, they've gotten stronger, they've gotten bigger. So I don't know why they kind of differ in that way. possibly because people may be more attached to their NFTs as they use profile pictures, such as myself and some others that may be listening right now. But that's kind of my take, and that's kind of what I've noticed. I'm sure if you guys kind of go onto the other side of NFTs as well, you'll see that's kind of the common theme. Crypto Twitter has died down from space, from a volume standpoint, from a user standpoint, but NFTs have gotten bigger.
I don't disagree with you. What I think is happening is that for the same reasons that we see banks failing and bank liquidity being an issue right now. I mean, we have to understand reality. Credit's being dried up, and liquidity is drying up as well in the overall financial markets. So, while we may differ as to what crypto's design was, I think we're all seeing that there's a great benefit for a centralized exchange transfer to more of a decentralized or DeFi. So that being said, it's kind of a bigger discussion. But I think what's happening as far as the crypto discussions and the crypto Twitter space and crypto in general being communicated more is that we see the down market and the downtrends in the market that have basically silenced people. And we're just simply taking a step back, waiting for things to get to where they're at. It'll come back. I'm not concerned about it. I think people still know what value is and still know where it's at. It's just that we've taken a step back and we're not as vocal about it in Twitter spaces to give the market an opportunity to correct.
And just to kind of throw it up there too is, going off of the crypto side to the NFT side, right? With crypto and blockchain, it takes time to innovate the space. It takes time to drop products. It takes time to move the industry in a certain direction. To where when you're looking at NFTs, art is always minted, art is always created, and basically you're always going to have new people coming in to the space that's bringing in creativity. So when you're looking at an investor side, right, the investors that we've pretty much have all come to known is it's really switched to, I want, and Jeremiah, he said it yesterday, I want it today. I want things to happen today. And for people that, like, when you're looking about blockchain and you're looking at crypto as a whole, it's basically building that innovation, and it does take time. To where the NFT side, it's just that creativity, new artists are coming into play, and there's always going to be some new creativity that's coming into the space on a daily basis. So I think that's the different sides of crypto blockchain to NFT.
Awesome. If you don't mind me jumping in here real quick, one thing I will say about the community is real quick, and also kind of pivot to a couple other things. One thing I can say about the community that really got us into SafeMoon is the vision. And without vision, of people, people perish. SafeMoon had a very, very awesome vision. They want to be one of the top 5 companies, tech companies in the world in the next 5 to 10 years. They want to, or possibly the top 3, tech companies. What they're specialized in is they specialize in blockchain and Web3 technology. Even though the company is somewhat different from the coin, but the company is powered from the token, obviously. So this is the thing, and forgive me, I kind of used coin and token the same. I was actually trying to just say token, but this is the thing. The community have won awards for being the best community in DeFi and Malta. John Caroni, our CEO, has been an awesome leader. He also has been Utah. He won Utah. What was it? CEO of the Year award last year. SafeMoon is really doing some extraordinary things. There's not a blueprint they can model after, right? They're creating their own as they go along. And for what they've done so far has been short of amazing. They're looking at the long term. They're not just looking for today. They're looking at what we're going to need in the future to make this space more adaptable for the rest of the world to come in with ease of use and safety. And we have to stay focused on that. So many people, look, we're not here to compete. The only person we're competing against is ourselves. And John Caroni made sure he communicated that to the community. And I'll tell you something. This community, are some of the most smartest people I've met in DeFi. I've learned so much from these guys. And, we keep it classy. And yes, we fight when we have to. We are the truth. Okay. We are absolutely the truth. But at the same time, we want to be respectful because we're more than just going to be more than a token and a coin. We're going to be the exchange. And we want to make sure all our partners and everyone is welcome and they feel welcome. So I just want to add my 2 cents in there. I have so many other things I wanted to say, but I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. I kind of just chime in once you guys are finished making your comments.
Yeah. SafeMoon, Tony, go for it, man. Jeremiah, certainly we can circle back to you at any time.
Thank you. What I wanted to touch on was what Andrew was talking about. One product I forgot about SafeMoon. They recently brought out a video. They're bringing out the SafeMoon NFT marketplace. That's another product they're gonna drop soon. So the NFTs for me, I've never been an NFT guy, but recently I've been taking a big interest on it. So the community of the NFTs, I've noticed them all around, and they're pretty big. So I'm pretty happy that SafeMoon bringing that to us now, because we have a lot of people in the community that are into NFTs. So in time it'll get there. I see a lot more outside investors coming into the NFT world. So that's just another avenue for us, for everybody.
Tony, you're absolutely right. So I do join a lot of NFT spaces as of late, because crypto ones, as I mentioned, kind of dialed back in a sense. I think it's very good to diverse and kind of expose your portfolio to different things and different asset classes. I was in the NFT space a couple days ago. I forgot who it was. I won't shill their space here either way. But someone was shilling SafeMoon NFTs. I'm not sure if it was a joke or if it was done seriously, but someone was shilling SafeMoon NFTs to get them or XYZ things, and I think that's going to be an absolute start. I also think when it comes to crypto and NFT as a whole, the entire ecosystem, entire industry, it's an attention war. And I'm sure Don can kind of touch on that. It's an attention war. It's, whoever gets your attention first, or how long retention matters. I think follower count is a little bit less important, and what matters more is turnover rate, in my opinion. But Tony made a great point, though, regarding the NFT stuff.
Absolutely, and don't forget about the Win technology, man. They got some patents on some of that for the Win technology and working with other countries. I still believe that's still on the table.
So one of the things that I'm curious about, and I guess I'll let the SafeMoon Army answer this question, is, guys, why do I hear so much FUD? Right? I mean, you seem like a very welcoming community, and there seems to be legitimate infrastructure being built around the community and around the token. And I don't know why. I guess the bigger you are, the more people hate. But yeah, just curious to know why SafeMoon specifically gets so much FUD. Don, go for it.
Yeah, so a couple things here. So one, people hate Apple, people hate Androids. I'm not, saying that SafeMoon is Apple or anything else. What I am saying is that it's hard to control what everyone thinks about something, and people are definitely going to have strong feelings one way or the other. So that's number one. Number two, it's the lack of visibility into what's going on inside. So when you lack visibility, it's very easy to, I guess, theorize what could be occurring. And then, most importantly, in our conceptualization of these theories, people often, if they have like a negative or pessimistic outlook, like, so, the three types of, or I guess it's six categories. You can either be past pessimistic, present pessimistic, future pessimistic, or past optimistic, present optimistic, and future optimistic. So a lot of people that fall into the categorization of pessimism, whether it be about SafeMoon's past, about SafeMoon's present, or about SafeMoon's future, their theorizations into what they lack visibility into tend to lean towards pessimism. So I think it's more of, the lack of certainty of what's going on, and then, someone's natural, I guess, orientation towards thinking.
John, would you agree though that asking questions, despite what they may be, is super super important for anything really? Because if one of my
Correct.
CEOs or my CMOs of the product or the asset that I'm holding, and he's doing stuff he shouldn't be doing, maybe he's at
Sure.
he's at an adult industry club or whatever it may be. I want to know about it as soon as possible, regardless
Yep.
if it's good, bad, negative, or in between.
Sure, and I 100% agree with you. There is, no greater value than a healthy amount of skepticism. 100%. A couple things regulating, this industry. One, like, we still don't know what the regulations are. So, as a control person in any company, you pretty much have to limit what you say. Because like we don't know if it's going to be classified as insider trading, or if the statement isn't made in a written format, it could be misinterpreted. So there are a lot of things that, just looking out for the health of your community, you definitely don't want to do or say anything that could bring any potential litigation and like put your project at jeopardy. So that's number one. Number two, like people ask questions every day, right? So, what level of questions is someone responsible for answering? Like, am I supposed to, not know about a question that occurred on a Reddit thread, and then now people are saying, "Oh, he didn't answer this question," or is there a question that occurs in a Twitter space that becomes like apparent, and people say, "Oh, he should answer this question." That's fine, and specifically, with the CoffeeZilla video, right? If you get legal advice like, hey, let's just let, the lawyers handle this, don't make any statements, because that's exactly what happens in those scenarios. Do you just appease people that are answering questions for the sake of, giving them visibility into the response, or do you follow like, legal advice? Not saying that that's necessarily what happened. I'm just saying that these are considerations that we should take into account.
Before I get some hands, 'cause a lot of hands are up, and I actually missed the order. I feel like they all went up at once. I didn't realize, Don, that there was a CoffeeZilla video. Did he make a video specifically about SafeMoon?
Yeah, so that alongside of like articles, there's been quite a bit of stuff that the community, like I would say uniquely, is like with the community. But yeah, and very easily answered some of the allegations in there. There was a lot of communication that happened inside the community about it. But at the end of the day, what happened is that it got the video a lot of views, so he kept making videos until the views died out. That's my opinion of what happened. It was a issue that drew a lot of attention because the community is fairly large. In terms of my personal experience with SafeMoon, I mean, I literally have an office on the same floor. Like all I have seen personally is one, growth in terms of their company, two, professionalism in terms of how they handle themselves. I've been, at meetings like, where their team's at, and they're not meeting with, you know, the same people that, a lot of other tokens are meeting with. I mean, these meetings are, you know, I can't really say who they're meeting with, because of NDAs, but like this isn't something that it's just, a token that's released for the sake of just having a project. It's not a company that's maneuvering, inside of space that's insulated to just developers or anything that's like cliquish. These are real professionals, meeting with, municipal entities or people with tons and tons of money. Like it's it's really hard to distinguish, like what I've experienced with SafeMoon from what I've experienced with, Fortune 500 companies.
I'd like to paint, and I'd like to paint in a little bit more broad strokes because I don't think any of them really deserve our attention. But I would like to address that question about, in general, how did we get so much FUD? And I think if you look at the history of SafeMoon and the people who were originally involved, they were the who's who of the crypto space. And when they were marginalized by being let go from the team, they had a big voice. And we ended up in a situation where they were the sources of information for people who put out a lot of YouTube videos and had a lot of content. So the reality, though, and as if you would go back through the history process of looking through this, and I know that you don't have the benefit of that, and I guess you have to take our our statement for what it's worth. Is that all of the information that had been given out there as FUD has all been debunked. It's literally all been debunked, and all of it has been discussed. I think Don alluded to it, and there may be a couple things here or there, but they weren't issues that, in my opinion, lead to that future pessimism regarding SafeMoon. So, how did we get so much FUD? It's because the people who were involved in it and were marginalized had big voices. The space is small, and when we look at it as, how is the future of SafeMoon going to happen? Well, we think that there's a large portion of the globe that are not involved in crypto. And when we hear of Jeremiah and Tony talking about the ease of use and how easy the wallet is to use and how much information you get from the wallet, it's an inclusive space. Holly's talked about it many times. We're in the situation in this world where we've got such a small group of people that are actually involved in crypto that we now have the ability to begin adopting or begin having people involved in crypto in a safe and secure way, and it's simple and easy to use. And when you have people who were had this myopic viewpoint early on of these people who were involved and began fudding it when they were marginalized from the project, they had such a big voice that they believed that they were competing with one another and competing in a way that they were only focused on the people who were actually involved in crypto early on. Rug pulls, scams, honeypots, etc. That was the method and manner in which they were making money. And that's the manner and method which maintained their lifestyles. Whereas we, as long-term investors, are looking at this in a way that allows us to be optimistic about SafeMoon's future, optimistic about BBTF, optimistic about Mirror Protocol, optimistic about Grove, optimistic about, Revoltants, all of these, right? We have the ability to look at it in a much different perspective. Whereas that was the source of the FUD. And it's all been
absolutely. And just to add on to that, it's so funny. Some of those same people that FUD and they have dedicated rooms where they will just FUD SafeMoon and everything else. It's so funny that these people are also have admitted that they're invested in SafeMoon too themselves. So just in case they're wrong, they still make money. So, but the other thing is that's so funny is like he just said, a lot of these things were debunked. Some people, they go against what they don't understand because SafeMoon is doing things in a very, very different way. They don't follow all the the same pathways, the traditional ways that other coins have followed. Listen, you got the same stuff against Ethereum, the same hate against Bitcoin and everything else like that. Because they all chose, even BNB, they all chose to do something in a different way, and so people absolutely had a problem with it. And what SafeMoon has done, I don't think it has. It's a sleeping giant. I don't think it has. A lot of these people that's just making these false accusations, and soon as SafeMoon drop a product or they do something that goes completely against their narrative, they're nowhere to be found for a couple of weeks, and then they come back with something else. So when you have people that's they dedicate their lives to make sure you fail, okay? No matter what you do, you cannot convince them that what they're funding against is good because they have made up in their mind or might be being paid. Some people have said some people are being paid to do this, but it encouraged me because I feel like I'm in something great, something big. If SafeMoon wasn't doing anything or didn't mean anything in the space, nobody'd be talking about it. So that's just my 2 cents.
One last thing. Let's not forget the people that bought on top of a green candle. SafeMoon was, like Joseph said, was up 3-point-something million%. And how many thousands bought the top of that green candle on top of Bitcoin being at 60-some thousand and then write it all down and now upset?
Tony, who is to blame for buying the candle at the top? Do we take onus on ourselves for kind of still pushing SafeMoon and not teaching people proper market etiquette that everything can't go up forever? Or is it somewhat on all of us, the investors? Maybe it's everybody as a whole. In your opinion?
That's psychology.
Yeah, that's
that's what we preach, man. Learn to read charts. Learn to read charts and when to invest and when not to invest, when to take profits and when not to take profits.
Hey guys,
It's
If
funny
I
that
could,
That's a
we
good
all
point.
are in charge of the buy and sell button.
hey guys, if I could, I have to jump. I have to jump on another meeting. I just wanted to say thank you guys for having me in this space. This space is amazing. I'm gonna follow and make sure that I attend more spaces, especially in light of Martin Luther King Day. You know, he was all about unity and bringing people together. It's spaces like this that do this for the entire community. So I do want to thank you guys so much. And then the last thing that I will leave you with is like one of the big things about the SafeMoon community, why it's so important for me, and why I think I am most bullish about it is the community is huge. We expect another bull run to come, and we expect when people, when new entrants come into the DeFi space, they'll have to have an entry point. I think with the size of the SafeMoon community and with the technology that the SafeMoon community and its partners are focusing on, like our goal or the goal, in my opinion, is to be that entry point for new participants during the next bull run. And if SafeMoon can be the introduction for laymen who don't otherwise have a crypto experience, if its partners can be that introduction for laymen who don't otherwise have crypto experience, it's going to create even if it's for a short lifespan for those new entrants in the market, a pretty significant amount of volume because it is that entry point for new people into the DeFi community. They got to come in somewhere, and I think most people are going to come in through SafeMoon.
Hey, thanks for coming on, Dom.
Take care, Dom.
A lot of hands up. So let's go to SafeMoon LV. Let's go to Joseph and then SafeMoon Mojek.
Yeah, just to touch on the whole FUD thing, I think where we also stem from is when SafeMoon first launched, um, with how fast it blew up, they were expecting the team to be in spaces pretty much every week. And, when you're doing that, you're kind of spoiling your community. It's like basically we're getting communication from you all the time to where now that it's where the bear market is, and where a lot of these players that are going to be long term are building, they do have no news for you. They're building, they're working, they're AMAs anymore. We're going to be going to monthly. And then when it really wasn't panning out monthly, they were just like, "Hey, we don't have any new news for you guys." It's almost when, like, with the launch of SafeMoon Orbital Shield, like basically after 3 days they launched the video, you're already hearing people saying like, "Okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next?" And it's always what's next. And it's like when you spoil a community and giving too much communication, they're always expecting something like next day or next week, to where it's just like if you don't say anything, the community starts to turn negative, and then all of a sudden you have all these different things spewing out and yada 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 yada. So it's just like the realization of having communication to investors, um, we really have to take a look upon ourselves as investors and control our emotions. And this is why we always say stop investing with emotion, right? Even when it comes down to, like Tony said, buying green candles, buying that FOMO, is really start to have a game plan of when you're jumping into a project, or wanting to invest into NFTs or anything that comes along that takes your money, right? Is you really have to go back to the educational things that make you a successful investor. But when it comes down to the SafeMoon team as a whole, they're like, they communicate, they say the right things when they need to say it. It's just a lot of people don't see it because it's like on Discord, or there's a lot of different platforms that they say it on. And if you're not paying attention, then you don't catch it, and then now you're sitting there saying like, I haven't heard anything for 2 weeks. I was like, what are you talking about? John said something a week ago. What do you know? It's like, it's always paying attention to your investment. And about 70 to, I would say 60 to 70% of new investors don't pay attention, or they don't know how to pay attention. So it's like, that's pretty much what I would say about it.
No, that was very well stated. I absolutely agree. Keep your team accountable. Even if you're not a part of the team directly, as a community member, you should keep your team accountable as possible. Noah, can we go to SafeMoon here? He hasn't spoken yet. SafeMoon Wojak, if I said your name incorrectly, I do apologize. And then we can go to Captain Levi here, who haven't spoken yet. And then we'll go to Jeremiah, of course, obviously.
Hey, I hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate you guys hosting the space. It's been a while since we've had a space like this. So, when it comes to the FUD, I just want to quickly touch on it. I don't want to talk too much. I think what Don said literally is the keystone to all of it, and that there's different archetypes of people, right? Some people are naturally more cynical people, and some people are naturally more positive people. It's not good or bad. It's just the nature of human beings. We all have different upbringings, different personalities, and we just view situations differently. So you tend to lean towards a certain perspective in life. And I think for SafeMoon in particular, it may appear that there is an exorbitant amount of FUD, but I think relative to the size of SafeMoon, if you think about how many people have heard of SafeMoon, have been involved in SafeMoon at some point, it's not necessarily a crazy amount of FUD. It's just that there's so many people. It seems like there's a lot of FUD. And when it comes to FUD, people are naturally more drawn to FUD. As human beings, our eyes always look at the accident on the road, right? You always notice the faults much more easily and fixate on faults than you do on positivity. The human mind is actually drawn towards negative thoughts. We already know that this is a fact. So I think that sometimes it seems like there's a lot more FUD than there actually is, and it's always the same people who are repeating it over and over again. So I don't think it's necessary that SafeMoon has an excessive amount of FUD. And I would say that FUD is healthy and normal. It means we're relative. It's always better to be infamous and not be known at all. So I think in the long run, that SafeMoon having its name out there is all that's going to matter. And in regards to information, I also don't think giving more is not necessarily better as well. I think that's kind of a misconception, that saying, have the team give all the information they have, because it's like, sometimes when you give people information, it's never enough. It's like you give an inch and they want a mile. It's that kind of thing where no matter how much you give them, they always say, okay, so now tell me this, now tell me this. So now where did this go? What's that? What's that? What's that? It's like a never ending cycle of wanting more and more and more. And SafeMoon themselves have admitted that, the communication has not, that previously they were giving too much. Now they're not giving enough. And they said that this year they're going to try to find a balance. And that's a part of growing as a company. The last thing I'll say, is regarding the CoffeeZilla video. The most important thing about that video, I will say, is for everyone, when you watch that video, go read his disclaimer at the bottom of his video. He writes himself very clearly, this is not fact. This is not fact. This is for entertainment. That right there tells you that this individual can take a narrative and spin it for views. And CoffeeZilla is a YouTuber. He's not a moral crusader out to love you and save you. That's his narrative, and I'm not hating on that. That's his shtick, and he does a good job at it. He's very entertaining, but just read between the lines, And that's all I wanted to say. And I hope everyone's having a great day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Wojak, and I really appreciate you coming on. Before I pass the mic to Jeremiah, I have one of the OG Whale Coin Talk community members who always comes up and asks great questions. He wanted to ask the SafeMoon community some questions. So, Captain Levi, I'm going to pass the mic to you, and then I'll go to Jeremiah after that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Noah. I've been enjoying the conversation. I just like to make a quick inquiry. The first one is about the migration, which I'm just seeing. I do hold some SafeMoon myself. I'm actually happy holding it with what I'm actually hearing now. And I wanted to ask him, I'm seeing some really great merchandise on your SafeMoon merchandise store. And I also saw the purpose that I was about to ask the reason why the merchandise is going there. You said that you're providing 100 days of life-saving water to children in Tanzania. And I want to appreciate this that you're reaching out to Africa as a whole and Tanzania to be specific because they do have some problems in this regard. Do you support buying these merchandise with the SafeMoon token? Because I did not see the payment options using your crypto, or do you think that it's going to be a problem?
I I
From
have a
what
hard
I've
time
heard,
hearing that.
yeah. Well, I'm in my car and it's hard to hear because it's raining. So, from what I've heard was there any worry that you couldn't buy the Safe Moon merchandise with the Safe Moon tokens? Is that what you said? I'm
Yes, yes, that's what I was trying to ask because I'm seeing all the available payment forms here, but I did not see any payments supporting crypto made payments. You know, maybe buying with the SafeMoon token itself. Wouldn't this be supporting the project as a whole?
I mean, I do agree. I mean, if they were to do that, but it's like also, I'm sorry if it's kind of noisy, guys. It's raining pretty hard where I'm at. You know what? Actually, if anybody, it's actually starting to hail. So give me 1 second, guys.
I think the objective with the merchandise was primarily marketing and to get it out into people's hands as quickly as possible. It was a very quick process by which the merchandise became available. So I'm not concerned with it at all. The interface with the SafeMoon card and the ability to buy things with SafeMoon is still in development. So I'm not too concerned about it. I think that you had another question about the contract and why the migration from V1 to V2. I think that part of that had already been discussed, but I'll reiterate it that it allowed for the proxy contract to be updated. Number one, uh, and because with so many zeros in front of it in the old V1 contract, that it couldn't illustrate on apps or on exchanges as well with all the zeros. So the migration was coupled with a consolidation. So it didn't change value; it just changed the consolidated amount so that it was had less zeros. So I hope that answers your question. But in all, the proxy contract itself was updated, which enabled more flexibility, enabled cryptonomics and global tokenomics to be implemented for different exchanges, which I think again is still in development. So it's allowing them to have the ability to process and become more globally available. So I hope that answered your question as it relates to why V1 to V2, and hope to answer your question regarding merchandise. Not concerned. I think it was just it's a marketing problem, and if if in the grand scheme of things, we're still acknowledging that a very small portion of the globe uses crypto, and our goal is to become more adopted by more people, and you want to be more inclusive, then it's an acknowledgement on the team, a SafeMoon team, that people pay with U.S. dollars or whatever it is your native fiat is.
That sounds fair enough. I
Did,
really
did you have
appreciate
any
it.
other questions? I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of it either.
Yeah, those were my questions specifically. I was really asking about the whereabouts of the merchandise itself, and I was wondering why I did not see the option to pay with the SafeMoon token. But that has been cleared up. I'm just going to continue listening in. I wish you guys the very best, and I hope that the project stays fully smooth. Over to you, Noah.
Yeah, I think it's a great question though. Why can't we buy it in SafeMoon? Let's see what we can do to get it in front of the team. Great idea.
So I'm gonna thank you, Captain Levi, as always, for your questions. I'm gonna pass the mic to Jeremiah, and I'm gonna open up the panel for anyone that wants to come up and ask questions. I will just preface that with saying, please be respectful and try to have constructive discourse on here. But yeah, Jeremiah.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Also, is it okay for me to pin something up to the top? It kind of goes along with what I'm actually going to be talking about, so people can read it for themselves. Also, probably go to SafeMoon.education, SafeMoon.com, and get information for those who don't know about SafeMoon, and probably follow the main account and the CEO of SafeMoon. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay. You guys are welcome to pin whatever you want if you're a speaker.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So, one of the few other things that we kind of didn't cover, um, is SafeMoon also went and attained the EU license. One more post, I think in the tweet it also mentioned, they were working on it, but they also got the EU license. They also have their liquidity insured. So for people to say, oh, they could rug pull or something like that, listen, people will go to jail if that happens. But they wanted to win the confidence of the holders and to ensure their liquidity. And say, for example, worst case scenario, somebody did find a way, but God forbid, whatever, tried to hack it or something happened or whatever, that money is insured for SafeMoon, so that they're able to get that back. Also, they're working with Binance, and they've been working with Binance for Glow Talks, and that's something that's another conversation that can be talked about. How the highway is going to run through numerous of exchanges, and you'll be able to benefit from that technology because it does run through so many exchanges, and the volume that takes place on there will also take place, say, in the wallet or however SafeMoon have it set up. But they are working with Binance on that through Mandala Exchange. I was actually trying to get the president of Mandala. I sent him a DM and see if he had wanted to come into space and maybe speak on that, but I haven't got a message back from him. But that's just something that's very important. Something else that, so sorry for the noise in the background. Something else that SafeMoon went out and did, that they do have an actual location, right? Actual headquarters, which haven't been heard of in crypto, right? Like, you can go there. They're not a project. They're a company, and they're here to stay. And I think that's absolutely something that should be recognized and should be a standard for serious cryptos, to have a location, man. Uh, we don't know if someone's doing something out of their basement or what's happening. But yeah, I just wanted to share a couple of those things. It's a lot more that SafeMoon has done that, again, just because we haven't talked about it doesn't mean they're not working on it. And I'm glad we're having this discussion because it actually kind of refreshes our memory of what's coming up next, and what their main goal and objective is in this space, and how to make DeFi much, much safer for the rest of the world.
I pinged Joe for you, Jeremiah. Joe is CEO of Mandela, and Mandela is an official partner of Whalecoin Talk. So hopefully, if he has time, he's going to be able to get. He's just getting. Yeah, he's just in transit right now, and he's gonna. I think he might try to, but we're definitely happy to set that up in the future.
Joe also does join our spaces, or Noah's space that Noah hosts every Wednesdays on the Aquarium account, the one that's speaking right now. At Noah time, it's 11 a.m. Eastern time every Wednesdays. Joe does join those pretty often.
Yeah, he's
you guys
great
are all
guy,
welcome
man.
to join as well. Yeah, Joe's very knowledgeable in the space, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Joe's not going to be able to make it, but he sends his regards as he's currently in transit. But Jeremiah, could you expand upon the stuff you were saying about Mandela? I'm curious to learn more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, check this out. So, and anybody, feel free to jump in too. So, SafeMoon got listed on Mandela, and one thing why SafeMoon haven't got listed a lot of places is really how the reflections is implemented, right? A lot of exchanges actually had a problem trying to implement reflections because again, they're not set up that way. The whole reflection token is a new concept. And to me, it's the new version of what crypto is going to be. It's going to continue to evolve. And John made that clear. It's going to continue to evolve. So it's going to get better and better and better. More opportunity, things of sort like that. But a lot of exchanges just had a hard time trying to figure out how to do it. Some of them, like Bitmark, did it manually. I'm not quite sure. Remember how Mandela does it, but the fact that again, SafeMoon and Mandela are working on some projects and things of the sort like that. I believe for the future. I'm not 100% sure. I remember he spoke about something in the space about that, but we're working on some things together. And plus, Mandela actually being how can I say like a sister company to Binance, and they use the same cloud, their liquidity and everything, share all that together. So most of the coins that go to Binance, and I'm not making any predictions, most of the coins, excuse me, that go to Mandela actually goes to Binance. I think one or two probably didn't make it, but that is absolutely a thing. So can that be in the future of SafeMoon? It's a possibility. Do I know for sure? I don't know, but I do know they are working together. Their techs people are working on that some of that other technology SafeMoon created.
What Jeremiah's talking about is, well, first off, SafeMoon has 14 listings on exchanges, and what he's touching on is global tokenomics, and that's one of the huge things, in my opinion. When this gets finalized, it's going to be pretty massive on the burn of the token because of the tokenomics. Global tokenomics is say the buy and sells on Bitmart, which they do not provide tokenomics on the token that I believe, or some of the exchanges do that. But once global tokenomics comes, it's going to be like a massive burn.
I love his accent though.
Hey, so I have a little insight on this. If I could just chime in, if you guys don't mind.
Go for it, Tim. Is that a DGod, by the way, first and foremost?
It's. I wish it was a DGod. I don't have the money to afford DGod, but SafeMoon does have a parody of DGods. They're called FUD gods. I guess it makes fun of all the FUD that's around SafeMoon. Just because I don't have $58,000 for a DGod NFT, I saw the FUD gods and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, but yeah. So one of the things that Mandala is doing is the Glow Talks is what they were talking about, is because it's a centralized exchange, right? So there's no way to calculate the volume because there's no interaction between a purchase on a centralized exchange and the blockchain, because you're just getting a digital ledger. So one of the issues with having a tokenomic or a token that gives reflections is because you're not interacting with the blockchain, there's no way to calculate that volume that's going through for that particular token. So obviously this was one of the issues that SafeMoon had when they were trying to get their tokens listed on exchanges, and then the exchange is trying to figure out how they were going to give the proper amount of volume issued on that particular token on their exchange, the reflections needed to the people that were holding the tokens, when in all reality, they're not actually holding the tokens because they don't own the tokens, right? Because we all know that when you're on a centralized exchange, you're just given a digital ledger and you don't actually hold your crypto. So that is one of the reasons that's one of the things that SafeMoon is working on with Mandala, is to figure out a way to allow the volume on a centralized exchange to give reflections to all holders on centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges, reflections that are done within those centralized exchanges, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and just to kind of expand on that just a little bit more, overall with the way tokenomics works is that if you have too many tokens that are just sitting on exchanges, not doing anything but trading and not burning, not giving out any reflections, not going towards the functionality of the token itself, is basically you just have a mass amount of supply sitting on exchanges doing nothing. So if we're jumping onto all these exchanges that don't support the tokenomics, then you're pretty much doing a disservice to the functionality of how the token's supposed to be working. So that's pretty much what I wanted to expand on.
And just, it's not only Mandala that's working on this concept. DigiFinex is also working on this concept with SafeMoon to also try to get Glow Talks going on their exchange. So this is something that centralized exchanges see as an issue. They want to support these tokens that give reflections, but they just haven't figured out a mechanism to understand how they can calculate the volume to give reflections to all token holders, whether it be on a decentralized exchange and a centralized exchange.
So really quick, just to share some more information on Mandela because they are an official partner of Whale Coin Talk, and their team is just super hungry and they're always trying to innovate. And Joe's been on so many panels for the aquarium, and he's so much wisdom and just very insightful, and there's done a lot of great things in the space. Mandela is, from my understanding, built or is powered by the Binance cloud. So they share liquidity with Binance. And one of the things I love about Mandela when I look at the interface is that you feel that you're interacting or you feel that you're using Binance, but Binance in 2017 or Binance in 2018 without all like the fluff and the fat. So that's really cool to me. And I think a lot of people still don't know about Mandela. I don't want to pull too hard, but I think you can definitely check them out on their website and look at all the other things that they're doing in the industry because they really have some cool stuff going on. The team is again super innovative and they're working on other projects, so definitely worth checking out and definitely worth if you're in a country that you're able to actually become a member and use Mandela. Definitely worth using that exchange because it just as they're powered by the Binance cloud, they're also benefiting from Binance's security. Anyway, end of my end of my
Aquarium.
freestyle.
Thank you for the co-host, but also the SafeMoon Army is very knowledgeable about Mandela. We've actually when we got listed, the Mandela CEO we had a fun time with the Army. You could tell it was an enjoyable experience, and yeah, the SafeMoon Army has him with open arms.
Wanted to pass the mic to let's see, to Lee.
Tulai.
Tulai.
Tulai 3, yeah. Thanks, buddy. Hey, I just wanted to mention that the last we heard from the community members from Mandela was the only thing left to work on was the interaction between wallets, from what I heard, and I just wanted to confirm that. And they said everything else was completed for the Glow Talks, but was it the name changed for tokenomics to dexonomics? I heard that there was some legalities going on with that. Did anybody else hear about that?
Yeah, we recently saw that on some tweets of that change. We're not quite sure. It's right now. It's just a lot of speculation. The SafeMoon team has not talked about it.
Yeah, with the dexonomics thing that they're looking at is basically again it's pretty much the same thing, but doing it, when you have centralized tokenomics or cryptonomics, is you're doing basically an off chain movement, to where with Dex it's on chain, so it's basically trying to use all the decks that SafeMoon would potentially be on and making sure that tokenomics works correctly. Like I said, it's these things are very, very hard to do, but you also have to have the wallet structure to do it. But it's just like CZ has said it multiple times. If it doesn't benefit every holder, I don't want to list it, right? So it's one of those things is, can we get it integrated? Can we get it functional to where instead of having local tokenomics on centralized exchanges, how do we get it to where every person can benefit? But also you have to look at it as a standpoint is the benefit of being on Mandala is, yes, they are the Binance smart cloud exchange. So Binance has to buy the liquidity to be listed on Mandala. So Binance holds the liquidity. Could they list it at any point in time? Absolutely. Now, granted, you have to have the followership, you have to have the community, there has to be a lot of things that play into getting a Binance listing. So, but right now, technically, SafeMoon is a liquidity on the Binance, on Binance. So, and Joe Mandala has actually came out, or Joe from Mandala, sorry, has came out and said that is like, hey, it's Binance has to buy our liquidity to list you. So, those are all pivotal points, and it's just hopefully, where when SafeMoon and the industry leaders do come out with the solutions to make tokenomics a reality on a reflections aspect, it's going to be phenomenal. And I think it's definitely going to be one thing that's going to change the way crypto cycles work, especially if you have cryptonomics on exchanges. If I can hold my 30 million Bitcoin on an exchange that gives me reflections just for holding it there and off of the volume and a little piece of the action, you know, why not? And how does that interact with the bear markets? How does it change the way cycles work to where every holder is benefiting from just holding your money on an exchange? So there's a lot of things that can go into play to where these are all things that are being talked about. It's like, yeah, it hasn't been released yet, but it's like you have to look at the vision of what they're trying to do, but it also takes time to build out those visions.
100%, man. 100%. And it's just it's a matter of time. It just have to, right now we all kind of playing the waiting game. But they brought some really, really serious people in to work on this, and it's just not, somebody that just, hey, they just well known on Twitter or whatever, but some serious PhDs, companies that help them to compete in this market. And I never forget, and I'm not going to say the person's name, but a former employee, when we asked him, hey, how big can SafeMoon be? And he said, and I never forget, and this is what I'm literally standing on, okay? Not financial advice, but he said if they do and they implement what they have already, and ever since then, obviously I'm sure came up with new ideas. He said it could be the ABC of crypto, and it can. There's again, they just have to execute what they're planning to do and do it well. And one utility that SafeMoon have is the community. We back them back SafeMoon. I will say, and I know you asked earlier how many people kind of went away. I would say, hey, maybe a few people went away on Twitter, but the wallets have definitely been growing, in this space, and people are just waiting. Unfortunately, the markets come down. People do walk away, not necessarily say, hey, I'm done with this project, but they walk away and say, hey, I might take a little profit, or I'm just not on Twitter. I'm just not interacting. I'm just waiting for the markets to come back. I'm just going to go ahead and put my hand back on the plow and start working and building up more money and not really worry about what's happening to the market come back. So I think the community is still here. SafeMoon still has that 1.3 million followers. They also were the first ones to be verified on Twitter, crypto to be verified on Twitter. And they have, I think we probably have another million followers else places, Facebook and different social media platforms. But we are definitely in unison and behind SafeMoon. Unfortunately, it has been a few people that kind of fell off, but it's all right. The Army's still here. We still stand strong, and we're pushing along. So let's go.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of go off of something that Brian said in a few spaces back, maybe a couple months ago. Is when you're doing things the right way, it takes time. When you're doing things the legal way, it takes time. When you're building something that could be innovative, it takes time. And Brian, the CEO of Glow, made a great point. Is that overall, like, how many tokens out there have just forked and created a blockchain off of just forking it? You could fork off and make an easy blockchain that's accessible, and on top of which is also accessible to hacks and other things, also in those securities. But my biggest thing is that overall, when you're trying to build something that could be possibly be like a POS system, making it easier for merchants to on and off road crypto as payments with the SafeMoon card. Building those things takes time, and actually knowing the functionality behind it instead of just forking and then creating something and then or even acquiring something. If you're acquiring it and then you're trying to build on top of that, you're still going within the functionalities of that blockchain and then trying to innovate within the blockchain that exists. But it's always going to be something that takes time, especially when you're having to deal with legality things or regulatory things, especially when you have those bad entities that are getting exposed almost on a weekly basis at this point, to where we don't know where the regulations can go next month. And I think it SafeMoon not launching right away is starting to see all these things that are coming into play that could possibly change the way regulations happen, and they're building towards that future of staying within compliance. And I think that's a very smart thing to do.
Yeah, staying in compliance. I remember John said this, and staying in compliance. Excuse me, doing things the right way, so they don't the first time. Doing things the right way the first time, so they don't have to apologize later. And staying in compliance, especially with the EU license and going throughout the world, getting the right proper documents that they need to operate the correct way. Because I'll be honest, Binance didn't do that the first time. Okay, they got banned from a few countries because it was a tremendous growth. They said, hey, we're just going to go expand everywhere, and it doesn't. They don't different governments around the world don't play that game, and so SafeMoon again, they want to globally, and keep in mind they have an office here in Utah. They also have one in the UK. Globally, uh, as they continue to gain different licenses, so for them to operate, exchange, and everything else that they're planning to do, some things we don't know about. Again, they want to do things the right time, the right thing the first time, so they don't have to apologize later. And I think that's a great, great mentality to have, and especially coming from the top. From Captain Huddle, it was John Corona. So I'll post some things at the top if you guys want to check it out. If you can, so you can get the knowledge. Don't just take my word, do your own research, and stay positive. So.
I think one of the beautiful things within DeFi, within this industry as a whole, NFTs, DeFi, even part metaverse, that's way too early in my opinion. One of the great things is that everyone's very accepting to failure or having speed bumps and road bumps along the way in the journey, which is a fantastic thing. I think failing shows that you're trying, so I definitely agree with that sentiment. And I think part of DeFi as well, there's a lot of fraudulent activity, as we know that does go on in this space as well as NFT, but more in DeFi than NFTs as a whole at scale.
I'm getting firewood and stuff.
I think that open mic.
There we go. Yeah, I think DeFi, obviously a lot of fraudulent stuff. There's also a lot of good things that are transpiring, and I think the ability to fail in this space is one of the reasons why I believe in DeFi, NFTs, industry as a whole, as well as capitalism. You get the ability to fail and do well and do better the next time. And competing is a very large aspect of that as well. Noah, should we go to Lee? If I said your name correctly, I do apologize. And then after that, we'll go to the new speakers that we brought up here, KuCoin and then Crypto Devil.
Yeah, just to quickly piggyback off of what Jeremiah was saying about the 1.3 followers on SafeMoon. I heard a lot of people talking about, oh, they paid bots. And, well, I have to say that's not true, because since Elon took over, there was programs put out to nullify those bots. And I know a lot of Twitter users that lost a lot of followers along the way. And I noticed SafeMoon didn't lose any. So that's a solid 1.3 million followers, in my opinion.
100%, man.
Yeah, so I want to, anyone that wants to come up and speak, you're welcome to. I want to open up the panel a bit, and constructive criticism is always welcome. Just obviously don't be disrespectful, and we're gonna make this a bit less of an echo chamber. But yeah, Andrew Forte, I think it's been a great space so far. I mean, you guys, again, SafeMoon community, you guys have a really, really tight knit group of people, and we've been hovering around 400 active listeners for the majority of the space, which is solid. I'm curious to see what the total viewership is, and we can definitely do more of these in the future. I'd be open to suggestions from people from your community. Why do you think it's taking so long for you guys to have? I think someone mentioned how there hasn't been a big SafeMoon community, or excuse me, a big SafeMoon space in a while. Why do you think it's taking you guys so long to coordinate one of those?
I think it's just a lot of the major people that were in the spaces before um, have gone on to other things, right? Or have um, turned, like I said earlier, turn to the dark side. And it's just, whenever you lose that confidence in that market, um, it's hard to keep that following. Um, Especially if it was your first crypto that you bought into and you lost faith in it or something like that. It's we've had a lot of big names that did do a lot of great things um, for the community earlier on to kind of like keep keep the ride going, and then it's just like it kind of died off. And especially with the bear market, it definitely, it just, a lot of confidence has left the market, and hopefully it comes back. That's pretty much the way I see it. It's every crypto market, it does that every cycle.
Joseph, I have to ask, right? It's kind of similar to what Noah had asked, and I know Jeremiah can probably answer this as well because he's very known within the SafeMoon community as well. Um, so the thing you guys have meant to kind of construct here within the community at scale at large is creating a community full of people that have a common goal to achieve a common thing, to have a common purpose, support a common thing. There's a lot of similarities within every community. The thing you guys have done since I've been in this space has been build a community. And that's the one thing that most CMOs, most CEOs, most operators within this space strive to do, but cannot do. They fail to do it many ways. They fall short of the glory. They fall short of the goal for different reasons, whether they're stealing money, they're not intuitive, they don't care about the community, they don't have people doing the community stuff, et cetera, whatever it may be. How did you guys create a community such as large as this?
Again, it's just staying informed. Me personally, I got into SafeMoon because of the math, not really necessarily the people involved. So it's like I always try to say, don't invest with emotions, don't invest into people, but look at the project as a whole. Look at what's being done. Look at what the functionality is. Like, you could talk about a lot of different cryptos, right? So a lot of cryptos that are out there are either stationary or inflationary. Some are deflationary. So it's like, if you look at the math that's integrated into the liquidity injections plus the peer-to-peer interaction, um, it's basically, as long as there's traffic, which, volume, you're going to have some type of burn or liquidity injection into the token, which gives it a little bit of resiliency towards a bear market. Overall, when you look at the liquidity of what SafeMoon has, I believe it's the second highest on the BSC network, with around 17 million currently today. So it's just, overall, they've they've put themselves in a position to keep relevancy there. Now, when it comes down to um, way investors look at, getting that reflection aspect, is like, okay, cool. As long as, if it's going down, I can actually, compound my interest, right? Is basically, I can get a piece of the action even though it's going down, and I don't have to do anything. That's fine. And you can also look at staking in the same aspect. But with staking, is more holders come in, the more the percentage goes down, usually on some cases. But with SafeMoon, it's like, no matter what, you're going to get that static 2% on each trade. So it's just like, no matter what, it gets more fractionalized. But if I can sit there and I can just hold and bear through the bear market, and while I'm compounding my interest, might as well go ahead and do that. So when you're looking at, like, say, like the rise of Dogecoin, and no matter what, I'm not here to bash any other crypto, but you can invest your money wherever you want to. Number one. Number two is why would I keep my money in Doge going down if I'm not getting paid to hold it? So it's like you're getting paid to trade it. And it's just like, my thing is that if you're not doing that due diligence in trading crypto that is either a stationary or inflationary, then what's the point? Why am I going to hold it? So the concept of the having the the payback, which is the reflections of the tokenomics, is, no matter what, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to earn a piece of it, and hopefully, when things do come back as a bull market we're all anticipating within the next year, is that interest is now going to double or triple as the price starts to go up with the rise. So, and the way SafeMoon has done it is actually, put their money into BNB, which they have a huge BNB pool, to where whatever BNB does, SafeMoon will do. So I believe they really positioned themselves in the right way, and that's kind of having the right information, right? Most investors don't have the right information or don't know where to look to find that information. So having that educational spaces is pivotal when it comes down to investing and where to hold your money, not just to be in a stable coin, but also you can hold your favorite project while also getting a reflection from it.
Can I respond to that too as well? Just add on to that. Um, One of the questions that you guys asked earlier, Darby, forgive me, I don't want to seem like cutting ahead of you.
No
But
problem.
you
I
asked,
love you, Jeremiah.
appreciate you, man. Love you too. But listen, one thing that you asked about the spaces and why they changed this, right? So one of the employees from SafeMoon came out. I remember, I think he said it around New Year's, how SafeMoon was over transparent in 2001, may have been a little quiet, under transparent in 2022, 2023. They want to meet it somewhere in the middle. So in 2021, right, I remember coming on Twitter Spaces for the first time. All right, this thing was amazing. Like, my God. Trying to figure out, I didn't have access to even start a Twitter space, didn't have enough followers. Now and I remember SafeMoon hosting AMAs. First of all, they made it popular to do AMAs, okay, and be okay to, come up and ask questions. The docs, they dox themselves and everything else. They are the ones that made it popular. So when SafeMoon used to come in these spaces, I remember this is when I knew we were in something special. Keep in mind, this is early Twitter spaces and about these communities. I remember when SafeMoon, with the official account, would show up. My God, it was like 8 to 10,000 people in there within a minute. No lie. When Binance showed up, SafeMoon still had bigger numbers. Coinbase, SafeMoon still had bigger numbers than them. I think Binance was like 2,000, 3,000 people. SafeMoon will always come in with these huge, big numbers of people with an interest. So even when people are not necessarily invested, they are still looking. Okay. And keep in mind, those spaces were great. However, when they start to get bigger and bigger, having things, making sure they are in compliance. They started going different directions to, making sure, on the legal end, that they're covered and everything else. So they got off Twitter. I mean, they're still on Twitter, but they don't host any more spaces. They went over to doing the YouTube videos and things of sort like that, and having the studio at the headquarters. And I think they hired Steve Madden, former guy that did all his videos for 20 years, and he's still there. Sketch. So I mean, Twitter, but keep in mind, they also, John Caroni, shows up in the Discord. There's 100,000 members down in SafeMoon Discord. I mean, we would not let this thing die, and the community is there. But guess what? When like Joseph was saying earlier, sometimes when the bear market is here, people, and those red candles are here, people are typically away from Twitter, away from NFTs. You see people not necessarily on Twitter. Some of these spaces we used to see from other cryptos are just not here. And so I'm just simply saying when the market come back and SafeMoon still have people like myself still making sure that the community is okay. It's not even just me. They don't pay me or anything. I do this on my own volunteer time. And we have other hosts up here like Tony who do a great job, and Rudy does a great job in these spaces, and a few other people in here. Forgive me if I didn't mention your name. That do a great job in these spaces that make sure the community is still engaged. SafeMoon, if you follow the main account, they're very engaged with the community and they're always listening. So I think that was a great question. I don't know if I have any. I had some other stuff to add, but I've been talking enough. I'm sorry.
Hey, I think the big spaces will come back. I think the reason why the big spaces aren't as prevalent right now is just because things haven't been delivered yet. But the second items start getting dropped, like the exchange, the blockchain, the NFT marketplace, that's when you'll see a revival. People right now are sort of in hibernation, maybe because of the winter, but also because of the fact that things are still in development. And when you get into a space, there isn't as much content to cover. So I think I think maybe that's why you're not seeing the giant numbers when it comes to spaces now. But believe me, when they start delivering stuff, the spaces will start to explode again. You'll start to see much bigger numbers and much more people pouring into it. But it's just that downtime of waiting and for them to complete stuff. And we all know, in the DeFi space, if you're trying to build a project, just trying to be innovative and coming out with new ideas is difficult enough, but then also trying to find the right people, the staff in those positions to actually deliver what you believe in is also very difficult. So I think in throughout the times of them trying to make sure that things are delivered on time or just in an innovative way, it's difficult to find the right people to make sure that what your vision is executed in the right way and secure way. So I think right now it's one of those situations where it's just one of those building phases and there isn't a lot to talk about because it's not sexy, right? No one wants to talk about, hey, we got a really cool developer, because it's not sexy. You can't talk a couple hours on it. You just have to wait for them and deliver it. And I think that's when you'll start to see these spaces come back and revived and big numbers pouring in like you used to see in the past.
Build it and they shall come.
Hey, if Tony, anybody also looking for a job, SafeMoon's hiring. So great. It says a lot about a company that's hiring big time right now, even during the bear market.
Do you before I pass the mic to Tony, Jeremiah, do you know what kind of roles they're hiring?
Good question. I believe it's on SafeMoon.com. Again, they posted this a few weeks ago, so I probably need to refresh myself on it. But I know they were looking for even a position Lithuania. I'm not going to pronounce it right.
I can help you with that. I have it up right now.
Thank you, sir.
Right now, there's 4 positions: a site reliability engineer, a C++ software engineer, senior full stack developer, and blockchain developer. All of them are in the Lithuania hybrid role is what it's showing.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, and I had my hand up. There was something I wanted to just square away. Mandela is working with Binance. It's not SafeMoon working with them. So I just wanted to make that correction.
Correct. So basically, Mandela again. SafeMoon's working with Mandela, and Mandela handed over that technology. Am I correct? To Binance to work on it with them, if I'm not mistaken. But I understand exactly what you're saying. Basically, Mandela is like say this. I guess for legal purposes is the middle person, but Joseph, you can probably ask Joseph a little bit more about that if he can explain it in your DMs if he's available.
Jeremiah, from what I recall Joseph saying is that the Glow Talks development is with the Binance team, and that they are the ones working on it for Mandala. But the product is being created by the Binance development team. And I believe he said that they work in, I forget the word he used, they work in cycles. So like, I'm sure it's very important for them, but obviously this is Binance. They probably have a lot of other stuff they're working on. So I guess that's why it's just taking time. But I think eventually it will happen. It's just a matter of time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And to I'll touch on that. Why the SafeMoon spaces have slowed down. You know, in my opinion, the Dark Moon Tim stated well. You know, products. Another thing is that there was so many spaces coming out. You know, all the time. And currently, there's still a lot of SafeMoon spaces going on in different languages. You know, but in my opinion, what's going on is like right now, Grove Coin, they're what they're coming out with is their blockchain. They're turning into a coin. So that's got everybody's attention right now. It's one of our SafeMoon partners. It's like a star partner right now. And so I think that's what it's good because it gives everybody a chance to invest and diversify. And I think that's where the focus is right now. But then when SafeMoon comes out with something like recently, they had a video on the SafeMoon NFT marketplace. That was pretty hot, you know. And then some SafeMoon spaces pop up, and then you get talking about it more. So it's just like in waves, you know. Once the exchange drops or one of the products, it's good. It'll be that those ones are the big ones, the blockchain, SafeMoon blockchain, and exchange. That's what I'm waiting for. That's going to be pretty monstrous.
I didn't realize that there is a SafeMoon NFT marketplace.
That just recently came out within the last couple weeks. It was like a video drop that threw us all off. None of us saw that one coming, so that's pretty cool.
Do you know what chain it's on?
Oh, that I don't know. I don't know if that information was brought out.
Yeah, they're doing
just to
multiple
clarify,
chains.
it's not out yet. It's not out yet. They just announced it. It's not out yet.
Right. And so they plan on supporting Solana, Polygon, Binance, and I believe Avalanche. And Ethereum.
Not right on multi-chain. Well, guys, I mean, this has been an awesome space, the SafeMoon community space so far. If anyone wants to come up and ask questions or offer insights or respectfully offer some constructive feedback, that's always welcome. I prefer not to have echo chambers, but it's also been really great to learn more about the SafeMoon ecosystem from the community members themselves. And honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a community member and a team member. I mean, these guys obviously all love the project and love what it's done so far because they've been able to answer almost every question. God, if you have your hand up, go ahead and uncue your mic.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in real quick. I've been in the SafeMoon community since the beginning, and I've seen community members pivot and evolve within this platform. Good example, I've seen community members turn into CEOs. I've seen community members turn into moderators, educators, and just to see that evolution of, you know, these, I call them all friends and family now. It's just a wonderful transition to see. You know what I mean? It started out with just a group of guys in the Discord, and next thing you know, these same group of guys are SafeMoon educators. I'm pretty sure you guys all know who they are. The CEOs, Don Bailey, he showed up as a community member. Now he's a CEO. And same with Troy, the entire Blockbusters team. But everybody within this community has now evolved. People have found new positions, so to speak. Take, for instance, myself, Jeremiah, how we've all pivoted and evolved within this space and become more involved with this space. Because when I first started, I thought I was going to get rich in a week. And reality set in. Like, if somebody asked me, oh, what's a blockchain? I'm thinking, oh, it's a necklace? And with all this learning that I've gone on, and especially everybody else within the community, how to see them all evolve and learn together, to me, that's the most important thing for all of us as a community to understand what crypto is, what NFTs are, what blockchain is, the applications, and just to see that evolution of these wonderful community members evolving in this space has been an amazing thing, in my opinion.
someone DM'd me with a response to my question about the SafeMoon spaces as well earlier. They said the reason SafeMoon spaces slowed down was for a few reasons. We had 16 hours a day in 8 different languages, and it mainly stopped because every space was the same day in, day out. Week in, week out. People like Dark Moon Tim left the space for the last 6 months. Now he's back because SafeMoon is starting to deliver. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just I was told to convey that to the, or not told to, but I just decided to convey that to the panel.
Yeah, SafeMoon, Dark Moon Tim. He's also been involved in different projects that he works on. So he also had some time off. So yeah, and it was becoming a lot of an echo chamber sometimes. So everyone's just waiting for a product to drop. Oh, and I did pin up to the top of your room just to let you know the SafeMoon official NFT marketplace when they announced it, so you can see that.
Yeah, a couple reasons. I've always been hovering in the community. I just haven't been as active because I'm also a filmmaker, so I was delivering films. And then also, yeah, like what Tony was saying, I am working on a project on the Polygon network as well. So, but yeah, I've always been here, but I'm more prevalent now just because I see more value into interacting with people now that I've gotten further on my projects. Now I can get back into it. I finished my movies and I finished a lot of my projects, so now I could jump back into the community again.
Right on. Well, I guess we got some new panelists on. If people have any comments or questions, I don't want to keep the space dragging out if I don't need to. I think this has been incredibly informative, and we can definitely host more of these for I was almost called you Facebook, for the SafeMoon community in the future. Aki, do you have something to say?
Well, I was gonna say no. I've been patiently, listening in to everybody, about opinions and the vision, the mission, the whole journey, and everything. And what I wanted to point out, and people take it as a meme, when you see projects coming out nowadays saying, well, yeah, we rely on the community, we're building a community, we're doing this and that with the community. Well, guess what? SafeMoon already has the community, and this is something people tend to underestimate at times, because when you have products out, when you have new utilities brought out, you're going to have a huge army of people ready to battle test that, ready to show it to their friends, ready to use it. And whether they're all going to use the NFT, it doesn't matter. Whether they're going to all buy the merch, it doesn't matter. As long as there are utilities within the project, people are backing and they're fighting together towards a vision. I think that's something not to be trifled with. And having this strong community, I mean, if if the official account came in right now and said, what's our best utility, it's our community, I think I would actually believe it, because you see a lot of people around that try to do what, build from the ground up and get a following and get people involved and get knowledgeable people behind them, and sometimes they'll fail. And SafeMoon has been around for a long time, and seeing them still building, even in a bear market, and seeing the support from the community, I think this makes everybody a little bullish on SafeMoon, to say the least. And but yeah, that's just my my 2 cents on it. It's true. The community is great, and this has been amazing. It was a tremendous idea to have these people, come and share their stories and their journeys, and how they're working together towards a common goal. This is what we want to see. This is what we're trying to do, trying to educate, to get more people involved, to onboard more people. Well, community is really the way to go. So kudos for you guys, for staying true to the vision, and keep on keeping on.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it.
All right, cool. Well, Andrew Forte had to drop out, and this has been, let's see, we started, I think, at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so about 2.5 hours. I know that there are probably a lot of new innovations and products coming out of the SafeMoon ecosystem over the next year. And anytime you guys want to get together and spin up a space, we're happy to host it. This has been, we still have a good amount of people that are tuning in, but I don't want to drag it on if I don't have to. I think that we got a good amount. We get a good amount of information out of you guys, and I'm walking away knowing a significant more about SafeMoon and the community that I did before I walked in here. So, not sure if anyone has anything else to add, but yeah.
I just want to say thank you to you guys for coming in here and like giving us all a voice to speak and representing our community. So, thank you guys for doing that, and I think that's this kind of mutual dialogue that helps the space grow. So, thank you so much for letting us speak our piece, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
sure.
I want to say thank you for that.
Absolutely, man. You guys have really done a great job. And listen, man, anytime you guys want to, hang out, have these discussions, I think is very important. Within the last 2 years, a lot of things have happened in DeFi. And right before our eyes, more people are knowing more about crypto. They're talking about it on the news. We've seen a lot of bad things that happen here. And I think it's important to have not just a community, but say someone like SafeMoon or other great tokens that's out there to actually set the standard, what DeFi should be, what crypto should be in general. And the fact that we having these discussions, all right, here on Twitter, gives us an incredible real time advantage that a lot of these stock market guys didn't have, a lot of the other institutions didn't have. And I tell people all the time, and I've kind of coined the name on this. The stock market is the stock market, but this is like the smart market, right? It's the smart market. It's moving faster. It's growing. You guys got in at the bottom. Congratulate you. We want to try to bring all good communities together in a way that we can actually talk. We can get the right laws passed in the future, so that we can obviously keep this space safe and get more people in it. And overall, that's our main objective. And I again, I appreciate all of you. But let's just keep our focus on what the possibilities are for the future, because I think they're great. We just have to again not necessarily go against one another, but actually work together. And that goes from my community to yours and to all the other communities that you interview. And I really appreciate your time and efforts in bringing us to be able to talk about SafeMoon.
Hey, thank you, Jeremiah, man, for that, for those closing thoughts and words. Appreciate you coming on and appreciate all the value you added to this panel. Holly, first time hearing from you, so Mike's yours, man.
Hi. So I'm so sorry I haven't said much. I've been under the weather, so I had said I would come, so I came. But thank you guys so much for holding the space. It was such a good conversation, and there was times I wanted to chime in, but I was like, oh, they're doing a good job. So good job to everybody who spoke and had the great input. And thank you again for letting me come up here, even though I didn't really contribute. I did listen.
Yeah, no worries at all. We thank you for coming on. I don't see any more hands up, so I think I'm just going to wrap it up. That was an awesome space, guys. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for sharing, and wish you all the best. And hopefully have another one of these in the future. And also,
Absolutely.
disclaimer. Oh, Tony, go for it, man. This always happens, by the way. I try to close the space, and I'm almost there, and then someone raises their hand and says something, and then it leads into like 10 more people raising their hands, and I'm here for 3 more hours. So
right,
it's happened before.
I just want to say thank you for having us up, man. I do appreciate this. This was a really good space. Yeah, I can't wait to see more of you in your spaces, and you're more than welcome to join us whenever you like. And we have some quite often, especially with the partners running around. When you get into the ecosystem, you start seeing the different partners, like the community personalities. So yeah, stick with us, and you'll see. It's a very welcoming community that we have. We do, work somewhat of a family, but then when we get our backs to the wall, it turns into an army. You see that come out. But more so, we're welcoming, and anybody that has questions, questions are good, but it all depends on how you deliver them. But for my space, I rarely hold spaces. I would love to have you come in and we talk more.
Yeah, thanks again, Tony. I appreciate it. And I also appreciate you helping me rub in a lot of these panelists.
you made scheduling this space a lot easier. And yeah, I would love to be part of your spaces and join those. Let's see, final thoughts. Yeah, Whale Coin Talk community. My name is Noah. I host these weekly aquariums. Well, I host weekly panels, which is how the aquarium started. Every Wednesday at 4 p.m. UTC, we pick a hot topic in the industry and we have a Socratic style discussion around that topic. Last week, we chose Elon Musk's Twitter. This week, we're going to do TikTok. Or no, excuse me, we're going to do social media as a broader subject. We were supposed to do TikTok, but we just changed it to social media in general. I'll put an announcement out for that soon. But we also have these kind of spaces with ecosystem communities like SafeMoon, like Dogecoin, and we have those random times in the week. This is on a Monday, obviously, and then the last Dogecoin space we had was, I forget, maybe it was on a Wednesday. But if you have any ideas for community spaces, we'll probably do another poll and see who our community wants to hear speak next. But if you have any ideas, shoot me a DM. You can shoot me a DM on any of these accounts, Aquarium, Whale Coin Talk, or my personal account, WCT Noah. But remember, everything that you hear on these broadcasts is for educational purposes only. It's only for fun. So don't take any of it as investment advice. Just be safe out there. Take care, everyone. Bye.